Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is day 6 of the Redis 0 to Hero series. Till now we have practiced basic commands and get some hands-on using Redis CLI as well as Java application. In this video we will be going more deeper and learning more Redis commands and data structures using Redis CLI as well as Java app, both hand by hand. I could have used Spring Data Redis directly, but that abstracts away all the things and people don't get to learn the basic commands and internals of it. So if you know the commands and internals, you can use Redis with any programming language, not only with Java, and that is my goal. And just a quick reminder, if you have not subscribed yet, I would strongly recommend doing that, because in this series we are going to solve real world problems with Redis step by step, just like it's done in production. So without wasting time, let's get started. So similar to get set, we have the exists command. Let's open Redis CLI and try to learn these commands. So first thing, we need to verify whether our Redis instance is running or not. So for that, what I will do is I can issue the docker command to see. So here my Redis server is running, right? So what I can do is I can go into the Redis container, right? So I got into the container. Now I need to go into the CLI mode. So for that, what I'll do is Redis-CLI, right? So till now we were using keys star command to check what all keys are there. So we were doing like this, right? So as of now there is no key, but there is a better command to check that, and that command is exists command. So for example, if I do a set user :1 session, and let's say some token value is there, and let's say the expiry time is 10 seconds, right? We have already seen all this in last video. Now I'll do get user 1 session, I got the value. Now if I do keys star, the 10 seconds has been passed. Let's do one more time. So if you do keys star, the value is there. So if you again do key star, the key is there. So for session management, let's say the application, Java application access this key, whether this key is present for user ID 1 or not. So if this key is there, that means the user is active, right? Now once this key is expired, that means user has been logged out. So what application can do is, instead of firing the key star command, because that's a very heavy command to see whether key is available or not, what we can do is, let's do one more time, right? So what application can do is, can use the exist command. If the output is 1, that means the key is present. And if the output is 0, let's say this command gets run after 10 seconds once the token is expired. So if you see the output is 0, so it means this key is not there, right? So that's how the application can verify whether the user session is active or not. We have few more commands. We have the increment and decrement keys. So these keys are very helpful in case of counters. For example, in Book My Show, you have the seats as a inventory. So seats is a kind of counter. For example, for a particular show, you have 120 seats available. So as soon as user done the payment, right, so you reduce the seat inventory by, let's say, 2, right? So similarly, if admin wants to add one more show, he might want to add the seat inventory. So for that, you can use the increment operation. Now why these keys are available, right? So you can argue that, for example, let's say I create show :1 seats, right? So you can argue that, okay, the user can do the get command, yet user can do the get command, the application can do the get command and can fetch the seats, right? And can application again reduce the inventory and set the seats again. For example, set show :1 seats, and can, for example, the 2 seats have been booked. So then again the application can do like this, right? But that is a heavy operation, and the more important thing is that is no more atomic operation. So for atomicity, what Redis has done is, Redis has provided this increment and decrement operation similar to what we have in Java, like atomic integer, atomic long. Similar to that, we have this in Redis, right? So for example, this is the particular key. Now let's say you want to increase the value for the seats. So what you can do is, you can just pass increase show :1 seats. So if you see, the output is the total number of seats, right? So 119. Now if you want to do decrease the seats, you can simply do decrease show colon 1 colon seats. So if you do get, again you get the get show colon 1 colon seats. Let me clear the console first. That's how you can apply the increase and decrease function. Now your requirement could be, if you have any float value, for example set a, let's say 1.25, right, and you want to increase the float by some value, right? So for that, what Redis has given, Redis has provided the increase by float, and you can do the key is a here, and for example you want the increment value, you can give the increment value as 0.25, let's say. So if you see the output is 1.5. It is more or less similar to atomic double. Let's do one more thing. Let's say set a space b, right? Now the value of a is set to b. Now if you do the increase, Redis will throw an error. Why? Because as and when you do increase or increase by float, Redis assumes it is a number or a float value. If it is not that kind of value, right, so it will throw an error. So if you do type, so it would give the string, right? So type specifies what type of data is available in this key. If you do get a, right, again the value would be b. So that's how you can actually increase or decrease the value. Let's say you want to decrease the float value. So for that, what you can do is, let me set this set a 1.25. What you can do is increase by float and the key and the increment, let's say minus 0.25. So you can specify the minus also along with the value. So the value becomes 1, right? So that's how you can do that. We might have requirement, we want to increase by 10 numbers, right? For example, let's say the user booked 10 seats, right? So we need to decrease the inventory by 10 atomically, right? How we can do that? Redis has provided increase by. So you can do increase by show colon 1 colon seats. Let's say this is the value, and you can provide the increment, right? So if you do this, now the earlier seats were 118, now these seats were 128. So similar to increase by, we have the decrease by. Show colon 1 colon seats and decrease by 5. Let's say the 5 seats have been booked. The seats inventory would be like 1 to 3. These are the commands which we can perform by, for doing the operations atomically, right? Now let's do this in Java program, and let's see how Java program can invoke these things. What I'll do is, let's say in this test only, I want to see whether my key exists or not. So for that, what I can do is public void exists key. I can write this method, right? And I can provide the test annotation on top of it. What I can do is, I can use the Redisson client dot get bucket. So you know the bucket is the object holder, user colon 1 colon session. Let's say this is the bucket, right? So the bucket is associated with the key bucket dot. So if you see, there is a method called isExist, right? So what it will specify whether this key is present or not. So it returns the boolean, right? And what we can do is, we can print out this boolean. Let's see on the console whether this key is there or not. The get, let's say this key is there or not. So this key is not there. So what I can do is, I can just quickly run out this test, right? So if you see, the key exists is false, right? So what I'll do now, one more time, what I can do here is get, instead of get, I can use this set and value, let's say some value, let's say the token, right? And if you run now, right, if you run now, so it would return true. So the key is present, right? So that's how you can verify the exist test. Now similar to this simple key, if you want to search among the pattern, right, so that also you can do. For example, I can just quickly write out the new method for that, exist key with pattern. Let's say this is the method name, right? So for that, what I can do is get keys. We have already seen that, right? What I can do is get keys, and here I can use the get keys by pattern. Let's say simple method, although it is decremented, you know which method has to be used. Let's say this is the key pattern, and here instead of this I can use user 1 colon star, right? And this would return the iterable, right? So we have the keys iterable. Now for existing we need to check whether this exists or not. So what we can do is we can do keys iterable dot iterator dot has next, and if this key is there, this any of the key is there, it would return the true. So let's see if this is running fine or not. So if you see, it also gives me the value as true. Now if your requirement is you have a group of keys, let's say 3 keys, you want to see how many keys are present out of these 3 keys. So for that what you can do is, for example, public count public void count key test, right? So what you can do is count keys exist test, right? So for that what you can do is, there is a separate method count exists, right? And in this what you can do is you can provide the value, for example key 1, right, key 2, right? So you can give this keys, and for example this key as well, the user colon 1 colon session, let's say this is also one of the key, right? So you can give these keys, and you can at the end you can print out how many total keys are there. So let's run this as well, right? Let's run this as well, and you will see only the one key is available, right? So if you see, the total case present is only 1. Now let's do the increment and decrement operations, although we have already seen that. So for that you can refer the number test class, right? So here we have already used, or we have already seen this method, right, the number test. And here what we are doing is we were doing the atomic long, right, show colon 1 colon seats, and we are doing the decrement and get, right? So the seat value, this is basically kind of the decrement operation, right? Show colon 1 colon seats, right? So if you want to do like increase by, right, so for example increase by show colon 1 colon seats colon 10, so for that you can use atomic long add and get, right? So with this you would get the new value, right? So if you run this long the updated value, you can print out the updated value. The earlier seats value was 122 after decrement, and once we increase by 10, so the seats value becomes 132, right? So you can do this kind of operations atomically. So for decrease you can do add and get, provide the minus value. So for example if I do minus 20, right? So if you do this way, let's say how it performs. So if you see this, the output, right, so the seat value is 1111. So that's how you can increase or decrease the value. Let's see the other commands. So we have seen the exist, increase, decrease. Now let's discuss the hash command. So far we have been seeing how to store simple key value pair in Redis. We were having a simple key and we were storing a simple string value. But sometimes your requirement might be different. You want to store group of fields belong to an object. Let's see how to do that. First thing, there is no table or collection concept in Redis. Redis encourages developers to follow their own standards for key names. For example, the users table, right? So this is the user ID 100, this is the user ID 101. So this is the primary key, and these are the particular columns for a user object. So till now what we were doing like this, right? So we were doing like this, we were storing the user colon 100 colon name, we were creating the keys like this. Although we have stored the complete Java object in JSON format using the set command, but if you want to update any individual field, for example you want to update the name, you need to get the complete Java object and you have to update the name, and then again you need to store the complete Java object into the set command, right? So that is a cumbersome process. we will see like this, the user colon 100, and how we can store the fields of this user efficiently in Redis if you want to update or access any individual field. Take an example of move with show table. So instead of creating the different key like available seats, so if you have the provision like you can store the object such that you can perform or update the keys individually, it is better to do that. So as we discussed, get and set are for simple key value pairs, but if you want to store group of fields belong to an object, you can use the hash, right? And we can access or update individual field of an object if we are using hash. Now let's take this example. This is the products table, and we have the, for simplicity, let's say there are only 4 columns. So ID is the primary key, and name, price and description are the other attributes associated to the product. So if you have to define the REST endpoint for particular product, how you can do that? You can do that product slash product ID. So similar to this, what kind of Redis key would be there? So the Redis key would be products colon 1. So that's how we will create the Redis key. Now let's open the Redis CLI and let's see how it works. Let's see the flush DB first, right? You already know what it does. So we have deleted all the keys. So in set, you have the set command. So this command actually stores the simple key value pair, right? But now in this case, we want to store a group of fields of an object. How we can do that? So for that, the command is HSET and space. It gives the other attributes. For example, now you want to specify the key. Let's say the key is products colon 1, right? Now, what are the fields associated to the product? So let's see what all the fields are there. The field is name. Let's say the name, and let's say name is iPhone, right? What is the next field? Next field is price. Let's say what is the price? 65,000. What is the next field? Description. Let's say the description, and what is the value? Let's say the iPhone 17 Pro. Let's say this is the value, right? So this is how actually you can create the hash. It gives the output is how many fields have been affected. So the fields means the name, the price and the description. So these are the values, the iPhone 65,000 and the iPhone 17 Pro. So these are the values. If you do get products 1, so it is giving an error because it is no more a simple key value pair, right? So if you see the type of products colon 1, you would see the hash, right? So let me clear the console. Let's say the type of products colon 1, it is the type of hash, right? So you can use only hash type commands, not the simple get or set commands. So if you want to get the value associated to this key, let's say the HGET. Now to retrieve the hash related values, we need to use the HGET command. So here, for example, the products colon 1, you specify the key. Now if you again do the enter, you get the wrong number of arguments. Why? Because this is the key, but there are attributes associated to that key. You need to specify that field as well. What is the field you want to access? For example, I want to access the field as name. So if you do enter, this time it is giving iPhone, right? So if you want to access price, right? So what you can do is you can mention price. So this time it is giving the price. So should I be issuing all these fields one by one if I want to get all the fields in one go, right? No, actually there is a different command for that. So what is that command? So the HGETALL. So it would give you all the fields and the values, right? So don't worry about this, the indentation and the representation, how Redis is printing onto the console. Your Redisson library actually takes care of all those things, right? So you don't need to worry about this thing. Now let's create one more product. This time the product ID is 2 and the name is Samsung, right? And the price is, let's say, the 70,000, and let's say the description is the Samsung S25. Now another thing, if you want to give the value which has space in between, for example there is a space Samsung S25, so for that you can use the double quote, right? So if you do this way, it would consider as a one value. So if you do this, so it would give you the output that all the three keys are affected, right? So if you do HGETALL the products 1, you get this. If you do products 2, it would give you the value for description as Samsung S25. Just note that this is our way of creating the key. For example, this is developer's way of creating the key. It doesn't mean that Redis is creating some kind of table behind the scene. No, it's not like that. So if you are creating a new object, let's create one more object. Let's say the products 3, right? And the name, price, let's say the one more attribute, the quantity, let's say the 10. And here, let's say instead of Samsung 25, we give the Samsung 27. But this is a new product. So the product ID is 3. Now if you see, we have added one more field. There is no problem in Redis. You can add whatever number of fields for a particular product. There is no validation, nothing, right? So that is what I am trying to explain. There is no table behind the scenes which Redis is creating. You can mention any field while creating the product, right? So in this case, the 4 keys are affected because we have the 4 fields: name, price, quantity, and the description. Let me clear the console first. Let's discuss few more things. As you know, we were using the set command. For example, set A space B expired 10 command, expired 10 seconds, right? To expire the field, right? You cannot apply expire at the field level if you are using hash, right? For example, you cannot remove Redis CLI. Let me say this. For example, you cannot remove name field alone. You cannot remove price field alone. So this is the core design decision taken by Redis. You can't do that, but you can expire the whole key, the whole product. So if you want to do this, for example, expire products :1, for example, 10 seconds, right? If you do this, so let's do the HGETALL products :1, right? So you see the value. So, but it would be expired after 10 seconds. So if you do again, the value is expired, right? Again, if you want to see the TTL, you can do that as well. So for example, let's say the expire, let's use different product, right? Let's say the products :2, and let's say the seconds is, instead of 10 seconds, let's use 120 seconds, 2 minutes, right? So if you want to see the TTL, right, similar to what you use to see the TTL for any key, so you can use the same command over here, products :2. So if you see the TTL is still there for this products :2. So the expire command still works, but you can't expire at the field level. That is a very important point to note. Similar to Java, just visualize hash map in your mind. We can get all the keys, right? So get key set is the method available in there. So earlier what we were doing is we were using the keys star command to see all the keys, right? You can do that, right? But if you want to see what all fields are available inside this product 2, so for that what you can do is h keys. You can do this and you can provide the products :2. So if you do this way, you get all the keys. Now if you want to do one more time for products :3, you would get the keys for the products :3. So if you see the quantity we have added while creating the product 3, so you can get all the keys for this. So similar to this, if you want to delete any single field of a product, you can do that as well, right? So how you can do that? For example, HDEL products :3, let's say this is the key, and what field you want to delete? Let's say you want to delete the description, right? So you can mention just that. So if you do enter, it would give you 1. If you again do HGETALL right? And you provide the products column 3, you would see only the name, price and quantity. If you see H keys and you do products column 3, you would see name, price and quantity. The description is no more there. Let me clear the console first, right? And let's do keys star. Now the products column 2 is expired because we have already set the expiry for that key. Now if you want to delete the whole key, the whole object actually, so how you can do that? The delete, and you can do the products column 3. If you do keys star, you would see there is no keys available. So these are the basically commands for hash. Now, as I mentioned, right, for example, this is the movies table, right? Now let me create one hash for this quickly. HSET show colon 1, right? And let's say the field is movie name, right? Movie name. And what is the value? Let's say the Durandar is the value, right? And what is the next field? Let's say the screen. And what is the value? Let's say the screen 1. And what is the next field? The available seats, right? So, and what is the value for this? Let's say the value is 120. If your requirement is to store this complete object in a hash and you want to increase or decrease the seats, instead of creating the new field, what you can do is what hash actually provides is hash provides the hash increase by. So similar to increase by, right? So hash provides hash increase by, right? So if you do this, you can give the key, right? Show colon 1, right? And the field, let's say the field is available seats and how much increment you want to do, right? Let's say you want to increase by 2. You can do that, and if you see the value is 122, right? So similarly, if you want to decrease the seats, decrease the inventory, so you can just specify the value as minus, let's say the -5. So if you see the value is 117. Let's say we have the float value also along with this, the show, we have the float value as the price, right? So if you do this, right, sorry, it should not be h increase by, it should be h set, right? So if you create this show, and if you want to increase or decrease the float value, for that you have the h increase by float. So if you do this way, right, so you can provide the show colon 2, right? And if you want to decrease the field or increase the field, you can provide the price and by how much value you want to increment. Let's say I want to increment by 0.75, right? So if you do this, so the value is 301.5. So these are the commands which you can use for increasing or decreasing the particular field in a hash. So that's all I had planned for today. So if this video helped you, hit like, subscribe for the Redis series, share it across your team and drop a comment with your questions or use cases. I'll see you in the next video. And in the next video, we will discuss more data structures. We would code the real world use cases. So stay tuned and thanks for watching. See you in the next video.